I'm gonna kind of throw the one that I just read
Yeah.
about yesterday. If we don't like this, we can go on to another one.
Yeah.
But so you know how streaming's a thing now, and you're talking to folks, and you
Yeah.
don't know what kind of hot garbage may or may not come over because the world can still be kind of terrible.
Yeah.
The kind of joke or thing that's going around now is Intel's put out some bleep software, I believe they call it.
Okay.
So while you are hearing, someone on whatever stream you're doing, it will try to filter out words that are said based on your settings. And when I say settings, it's full on settings. Just to give you an example here, we have just N word, so that's just that's a toggle. That's binary, on or off.
Just toggle. Do you want
Just
N-word
toggle,
in
yeah. Like,
your?
okay, let N word through here. Like, we good. But then you get stuff like racism and xenophobia. How much do we filter? None, some, most, or all. What does that mean? What is filter out most xenophobia? How do you feel? Now I kind of want to use it to know what's the bar on this. How much xenophobia does most actually filter from me?
And sorry, who's the user of the N-word one? Is it that like individual that claimed diabetes? So it's like, I want a live stream, but I know that my friends and I use this word that I shouldn't use, and it's gonna bleep it out. Is that, or is it like, is that the use case here, or is it more like, well,
So
yeah.
yeah, so this is actually the reverse. This is what you want to consume. This is what I am opening myself to hear. Do I want to hear N words? Do
So
I
you get
want
to choose for
let
yourself.
some swearing come through?
Okay, or some xenophobia come through.
Yeah. And I also, one I see now in their image, white nationalism. Again, I wonder what filtering most white nationalism lets through.
So,
Like, could you imagine being working on the product? Be like, hey, homeboy, yo, John, yeah. What's the actual level of white nationalism we're gonna put with most? Point
right.
0.7 white nationalism? Yeah, 0.7.
Yeah.
That's what that means now.
Yeah.
Run with it.
Yeah. That is, we're sort of like, we're in this generation. I remember, you hear a lot from economists where you say, hey, that generation that was born in, say, 1890, born steam trains, no cars, et cetera, dies, man on moon, cars everywhere, jumbo jets, et cetera. And that was the time span where things changed the most and I don't think anyone really disagrees with that. We were born tape recorders, VHS, TV with bunny ears antenna, and now we're talking about live processing audio to fundamentally change how I can consume anything ambiently based on this. And this is just the start, right? We're talking about deep fakes and the ability to reproduce. Are we nearing the point where you just can't trust your eyes and ears because of how much processing can apply to it, and you really have to have like pure, raw, authenticated something, whatever that means? Or is this something that, like 3D printing or whatever, that we're going to hear about, and ultimately, just like a lot of the other innovations in our lifetime, haven't been that, man on the moon, car, jumbo jet type deal? What do you think?
Definitely that stuff's getting weird. I've
Yeah.
seen some of this deep fakes are just getting better and better, and now they're like AI taking old photos and animating them and making them smile, and just like, this kind of looks like a movie from this,
It does.
image from 1840 that you touched up. That's insane.
It does.
So yeah, it's funny on kind of the getting the true source. I feel like we might have to start having audio and video on the blockchain, so you have a specific key that you're now pairing back to say this is the actual raw sound or video I made with this cryptographic bit that you can pair back to know it's the actual real deal, because it's gonna get really weird.
It's gonna get weird. But you remember, like, in World War II, they would fly the planes over and drop propaganda pamphlets, and people read them. And at that point in time, a lot of people wrote about was that the print media, people had they didn't really realize that you could be misled, and something printed had a lot of credibility. And remember the first stages of the internet, there were all these bogus news sites that people realized, you can't believe everything you read online. But here, you sort of like drop a video in my feed, and it looks like, I don't know, Obama talking about something he never said. And you're like, that's going to convince a lot of people. It's super scary to me to like explain, well, that wasn't blockchain authenticated and that's a fake. Well, it's like, well, how many people will believe it? I think most. I don't know. To me, this is like this sort of alternate facts, alternate construction thing, I think is going to be I actually think a defining aspect of the 21st century.
It's gonna be weird, man. Because you're, if you have a political opponent, right? You concede,
Yeah.
kind of whatever videos, and now it's, kind of this authenticated blockchain thing. You're gonna be like, hey, that video didn't have like the blue verified check mark.
Yeah.
So we don't 100% know that's, the original Obama video, and it's gonna be stuff like that. So this is kind of one of those arguments where, when Zuckerberg kind of says, hey, we're the only people with enough resources to deal with things. So most of that is bullshit. Let's be fair. But on stuff like this, we're like, okay, people are going to distribute these videos. Social networks are going to exist. Some regulation might change something but it's going to take a lot of money to combat what looks to be 100% authenticated video and voice of someone. You're like, yeah, we got through a lot of humans at that to say that is not real.
And that's the thing is that, and not to get too deep into a technical discussion, but one of the foundational technologies that is building these fake videos is what's called generalized adversarial networks, which you might have heard of. And the idea here, I can describe it with like a picture. The idea here is that if I build a machine learning classifier to say this is a dog, this is a cat, this is a chair, then if I can classify something like that, I can build a generator of just pixels, just randomly making pictures. And I can just do this randomly enough. And then eventually I create a chair and the computer says, it's a chair. Then I learn how I created that in the neural network. And that's how I can start making artificial pictures of chairs. And you can see with like artificial faces, you might have seen New York Times articles, I can create faces this way, completely synthetic faces. But the problem with this is that the generation technology and the ability to classify fakes are really linked, because by construction, it's trying to classify something you will not be able to tag as an artificial face. So I build a classifier that says tag artificial faces, and then I create, with my neural network, lots of faces. And the ones that get through are the ones I say is a synthetic face. So it's like a really close leveling of the detection technology and the creation technology. And that's what scares me, like you said, with humans, because precisely the stuff that gets by the checks is how we're building the algorithm to create it. And so blockchain is a different thing, but just having the video asset, machine learning is not a great solution for this, because it was created. Yes, I can build a better mousetrap, but in real time, I'm not that optimistic you can do that. I think you said, it's gotta be it's kind of scary though, huh? Like that when you understand how it's done, you're like, ooh, that's how it's done. So you're only putting the stuff that beats the fraud detector, that's scary,
right?
You're
just like, ooh, it's one of those like, okay, well, glad I don't have to deal with this problem right now. See you in whatever 2, 5, 10 years, where it's like we're gonna experience it, right? And then
we are.
I don't know if this is something where you have to have more regulation, right? Because at some point you're like, this is my likeness.
Yeah,
you're not, this defamation lawsuit. Like I don't know how we're gonna.
And then somehow you prove it, and look, I'm with you, and this one is like I've never gotten too scared of the Terminator style AI takes over the world and shoots us down. Like I think it's not something that can be ignored. Automated military stuff like that, not something can be ignored. But ultimately, the gap between where our AI is today and that sort of thing is so big that as long as the robot vacuum still can't do this with the shoelaces crossed up, I'm not too worried. But this stuff scares the shit out of me, because this is allowing humanity to use its worst instincts against them. Create fake shit, convince a lot of people of fake shit, and rile people up to do bad stuff. Like history can say, if you can do that, you can do get some really bad outcomes. And this is a technological tool to do that. Kind of petrifies me, to be honest with you. I agree. It's not like a today problem, but I feel like it's going to be one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if this person said that or not. I don't know. Like they say they did.
You imagine we just have to have that talk. You're like, mama, that video, that's not really him.
That's not real.
That's not really him, Mom.
That's not real.
Like, it looks like him.
Yeah,
it sounds like him.
Yeah.
It's like, fair point.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, it damn sure does.
No, I don't know. So that's a good one.